The Dodgers just paid Shohei Ohtani $700 million, sparking widespread outrage across baseball. Arguments flare up as the Dodgers defend their move, claiming any team could have done the same. However, the reality is some owners don't even possess a net worth of $700 million. The Yankees blame cheap owners while smaller markets blame the game. Is this a problem baseball can fix, or is it even a problem in the first place?
Breaking news, the rich get richer. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to the LA Dodgers.
Richest contract in professional sports history. $700 million. He's going to the Dodgers.
Nolan Ryan getting $1 million a year in 1979 from the Astros was seen as insane, but that's what it took to steal him from the Angel. Nearly 20 years later, the Rangers shocked all of sports when they offered Alex Rodriguez $252 million, a contract they are still paying him today. The Yankees set a new record with A-Rod just 5 years later. When Mike Trout signed his record-breaking contract extension with the Angels for over $400 million, it was hardly a shock. At the same time, multiple $300 million contracts were being handed out for lesser players than Trout. These contracts have been given out by both Los Angeles teams, the Yankees and the Rangers, while the Astros and the Nationals pay the rest of the highest paid players in the game. The only outliers in the top 20 are the Cardinals, Twins, and Rockies. Still, none of them are on the bottom tier of market size. To get to the bottom tier, you have to go down to Christian Yelich's $26 million. But on the bottom, Baltimore and Oakland have some of the largest populations, but have the bottom two payrolls in baseball. The Athletics aren't in a Moneyball phase anymore, and their highest paid player is Aledmys Diaz, while the Orioles could be close to extending their young stars. Baltimore showed you can still be the best team in the AL without paying much money, while the Rays have shown they can do the same for years. For the last 5 years, the Rays have made the postseason, having a moment like this. But even with that and division titles, they've still come up short of their first title. It's only gotten worse in the last 3 years, losing a controversial series against the Red Sox and then winning 0 games the last 2. They keep giving their franchise a chance to win, and while the Dodgers are the talks of baseball right now, the Rays have been heavily criticized for continuously being on the bottom of the overall team payroll. Contending while not spending much could be considered impressive by some, but the Rays' way of doing business has encouraged others not to spend, and it hasn't exactly ended with the desired results. Salary cap has been discussed for years, but teams not spending is seen by many as even worse. The Rays win, but at the same time, their ballpark looks like this. Even in October, the fans don't support the team, averaging only $17,000 per game in a ballpark that can hold over 42. This is not just a Tampa Bay problem, as their friends across the state deal with the same. The Marlins, despite having their most successful year since winning the World Series 20 years ago, invested more than $100 million and have a team that looks like they're on the rise. The fans just did not care. They had the second worst average attendance in baseball, only ahead of the team that intentionally did all they could to not have fans show up. The Yankees president Randy Levine openly criticized both teams, putting the attendance issue to their lack of effort rather than financial limits, going as far as saying it's unfair that they have to evenly split the revenue shares. Under the CBA that was agreed on in 2022, teams pool 48% of revenue and then split it evenly between all 30 teams. The goal is to help smaller markets compete with teams like the Yankees and Dodgers. Most put it towards their team, but others have gone the nutting route. This means an owner pockets that money instead of helping their team, a term that's made by Pirates owner Bob Nuttin. In the mid-2010s, the Pirates made all their money back from fans going to the game. When the Pirates made their first playoff appearance in 2 decades, the team spent $68.8 million on their opening day roster, while earning $70.8 million from the fans, not including the revenue sharing or TV deal. Since Nuttin has been the owner of the Pirates, they traded multiple star players because they didn't want to pay for them, one even being the face of the franchise. But what's even worse is, unlike the Athletics, Rays, and Orioles, the Pirates can't develop talent. Kevin Kramer, who was the 8th overall second base prospect in 2019, slammed the team on Twitter, saying that multiple coaches told him he'd never make it and didn't help him get better. And even when they do develop talent, it's not usually to its full potential.
I would like to be the first to congratulate Garrett Cole for winning the AL Cy Young Award.
The Pirates are on the bottom of the payroll every year, but even they have started locking down some guys. Winning usually fixes attendance problems, and winning is usually solved by spending money, except for the teams who spent the most. Lost. After 2022, it looked like the Mets had unlimited money to spend, and their owner Steve Cohen didn't care how much as long as he put together a World Series contending team. $343 million spent. As part of the largest market in baseball, they could do whatever they wanted and were the favorite to win the National League heading into the year. 20 minutes across town, the Yankees followed suit, spending the second most. Nothing new from them, but across the country, the Padres looked like they put together a super team, spending the third most, proving that a small market team could spend. All three missed the playoffs. Spending less than $5 million than San Diego, the fourth highest payroll, did this. The Mets, Yankees, and Rangers are all looking to spend even more money and have no problem doing so. On the other hand, the Padres are in a tough spot, being forced to trade Juan Soto and even having to take a $50 million loan out to help pay their players. The Dodgers are now looking like they have their super team, signing Ohtani, trading for and extending Glasnow, and signing the top starter on the market. A combined total of over $1.1 billion. The Marlins franchise is worth $1 billion. It's nearly $400 million more than the 11 highest contracts in Brewers history. But does having a super team and spend the most equal success? When the top three highest spenders all miss the postseason, it makes you believe it does not. Going back to 1998 to 2013, the Yankees spent the most, resulting in 4 World Series and 6 appearances, a stretch that any franchise would happily take.
Second baseman Cano, the Yankees are back on top.
The Dodgers spending the most isn't new. In 2015, they became the first team to have a payroll of over $300 million in a year, and they failed to make the NLCS. Since the Yankees stopped being the highest spenders, the Dodgers were at the top until 2017, a run where they made the World Series once. The 2018 Fall Classic involved 2 of the 3 highest spenders, and the $235 million Red Sox made quick work of the $186 million Dodgers. The Nationals spent the 7th most in 2019, and the Braves were 14th in 2021. None of them are small markets. Bigger markets won the majority, but a small market finishing the job isn't unheard of. Just back in 2015, the Royals, who spent $113 million, the 16th highest in the league, did it. But before them, you have to go back to the Cincinnati Reds in 1990. Is being a small market an excuse for not winning? Well, it all comes back to money. The top 6 teams are worth more than the bottom 16 teams in the league combined. It's hard for the $1 billion Marlins to spend more than the $7.1 billion Yankees, which is what made this win as impressive as it was. When the Marlins gave Giancarlo Stanton $325 million for 13 years, it was only possible because it was backloaded, and once the contract was set to hit $25 million a year, the Marlins traded him to the Yankees in a trade where New York took on 90% of his remaining contract. That offseason, the Marlins had a fire sale trading Yelich and Ozuna, then Real Muto the following year. How many of them did they have to trade? None. And even Stanton said it. The lineup was legit, and they needed to add rather than subtract. And a few arms in rotation would have fixed this, which would have fixed this, which would have fixed this. Miami has won 0 playoff games since they won the World Series in 2003, and now they face the opposite problem with plenty of young arms and not much offense. Not many fans are in the stands in Florida, some are watching on TV, but the fan base just isn't as big as the Dodgers. In 2020, the Dodgers earned $239 million on their TV deal, while 11 teams made under $50 million, with the Brewers and Marlins on the bottom. A $211 million difference between the Dodgers and the Brewers. None of the bottom 14 teams in TV deals have won a World Series since 2003, but since 2022, every team gets $60 million from the national games, plus what they make regionally. That's nearly $100 million guaranteed at worst before having a single fan in the stadium. Yet 8 teams still did not get up to that mark in 2023. That's where fans in the Yankees present are upset. Just because teams aren't in the most attractive cities or the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes doesn't mean they don't have money to spend. It's because they're cheap. The Athletics could have paid $241 million to Murphy and Olsen. They won 97 games back-to-back with that core, and fans showed up when the team tried to win. The teams who claim they don't have the money to pay their top players are finding another way to lock down guys.
Outfielder Jackson Trio has agreed to the largest contract for a player with no major league experience.
An incredible run for Julio Rodriguez, and he is now set to cash in big time, over $200 million guaranteed.
Corbin Carroll and the Arizona Diamondbacks just agreed to an 8-year, $111 million extension.
Will it end up in a championship for any of them? Only time will tell.